Mastering the art of flirting, tips to attract her. Hello everyone. Whether you're looking to master the art of flirting with a woman who catches your eye or you're trying to charm someone you've just met in person, this guide is for you. But first, let's clarify what flirting really means. At its core, flirting involves three key elements, which I will explain shortly. Additionally, I will reveal a crucial phrase you should avoid saying to a woman while flirting. This could save you from a potentially awkward situation. Now, does this scenario resonate with you? You've successfully struck up a conversation with a girl you find intriguing, and you suspect she might feel the same way about you. However, you're concerned about coming across as overly eager or needy, and you certainly don't want to seem too forward or sexual. So, what should you do? Whether you've just met her or you've known her for a while and are trying to navigate out of the friend zone, let's explore effective flirting techniques that can help you connect with a woman you're attracted to while steering clear of common pitfalls. Remember, if you want to attract a wonderful partner, you need to avoid behaviors that might turn her off. If you're new here, my name is Anna Jorgensen, and welcome to Just the Tip Tuesday. Let's dive into the topic of flirting. So, what exactly is flirting? Flirting is the act of expressing your romantic or sexual interest in someone in a way that encourages them to be interested in you as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'll introduce you to the 3 T's of flirting: teasing, touching, and tension. Let's start with teasing. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you might know that women often seek a sense of safety while also craving stimulation, be it mental, emotional, or physical. Interestingly, women are typically more drawn to men whose feelings about them are not entirely clear at first. So, how can you express your interest while maintaining an air of uncertainty? The answer lies in teasing. Most women are aware that if you're engaging with them, there's a good chance you find them attractive. After all, you didn't approach her solely because of her charming personality, especially since you don't know her that well yet. Surprisingly, research shows that men tend to make quicker visual assessments about potential romantic interests than women do about men. Once a woman categorizes you in a certain way, it can be quite challenging to shift her perception. This dynamic differs for women, and I've discussed this in other videos, but for now, just understand that she likely realizes you approached her because you're not looking for just a friend. So, how do you create that element of uncertainty? One effective method is through what's known as a neg or a diss. In the pickup artist community, a neg refers to a playful insult, while a diss can be seen as a disqualifying remark or a lighthearted jab. The key is to deliver these comments in a playful manner. If you come off as too serious, she might perceive you as rude. However, if you can keep it light and fun, she'll understand that you're just teasing her. It's important to recognize that she may need to put in some effort to earn your interest. It's not solely about her appearance. She must demonstrate her commitment to wanting you, and as I've pointed out in previous videos, this commitment should come from her own desire. It cannot simply be a result of your pursuit, rather, she should be the one convincing you of her worth. For instance, imagine you approach her and casually ask, "Hey, how's your day going?" If she responds positively and shows signs of interest, something I discussed in another video, you might even add a personal touch by saying, "But how's it really going?" This slight variation makes your approach feel more genuine and less formulaic. Once you receive a positive response, you can take a bit more of a risk by saying something like, "I'm not usually drawn to blondes, but I couldn't help but notice your captivating eyes or that charming smile." However, it's crucial to only say this if it's clear that she is interested in you. If she's exceptionally attractive, she might roll her eyes at your comment, but if she's genuinely intrigued, she will likely engage further. If her level of attraction is only moderate, it's wise to opt for a less risky tease. Remember, mastering any new skill requires practice, and everyone who achieves a level of expertise has faced failures along the way. It's quite rare to find someone who excels right from the start, so be prepared for some awkward or embarrassing moments. Returning to the compliment about her eyes or smile, it's essential that your praise is sincere and not overtly sexual. Avoid comments that focus on her physical attributes in a way that could be interpreted as objectifying, as she will recognize that you're not appreciating her for more than just her looks. The statement about not usually being attracted to blondes serves as a potential disqualifier. Whether or not this is true doesn't matter. What's important is that it implies she needs to prove herself in other ways. By mentioning that you're not typically attracted to her hair color, you subtly indicate your interest, showcasing confidence, bravery, and a willingness to take risks, traits that are generally appealing. If she feels even a slight attraction, she may find herself intrigued and willing to play along. If her reaction is mixed, perhaps she's stunning and rolls her eyes or responds with a playful, "Oh really?" You can follow up with something lighthearted like, "Was that too much? Should I buy you a coffee to make up for it?" Just keep the conversation flowing. A key takeaway is that the stronger her physical attraction to you, the more leeway you have in what you can say and do. Conversely, if her attraction is only moderate, she may be more critical and look for subtle disqualifiers in your behavior. If she's not attracted at all, you likely wouldn't have gotten this far in the conversation, so there's no need to worry about that. Lastly, Coach Corey, whom you may know, suggests treating her like a playful little sister. I'm not sure if this is an original saying of his or if he borrowed it from someone else, but it's an interesting perspective to consider. When you approach a girl, especially if you're not very confident yet, you might worry about whether she likes you. One clever strategy is to treat her like a bratty little sister. This approach helps you stay relaxed and not take the interaction too seriously or become overly invested. Why is this important? Well, women can sense your emotions. If you're nervous, she'll likely feel nervous too, and that can make the situation awkward rather than appealing. Awkwardness isn't attractive, although a little bit can be endearing in small doses. Ultimately, you want her to feel comfortable and at ease. Now, let's talk about what not to do when using playful teasing or negs. Avoid using comments that highlight what you personally see as her flaws. This is not only rude but can also turn her off instantly. Secondly, steer clear of making negative remarks about aspects of her appearance that society might deem unattractive. Even if she's comfortable with those features, she won't appreciate you pointing them out in a negative light. Lastly, avoid any teasing that is overtly sexual. Comments about her body parts in a sexual context are a big no-no if you're just starting to flirt. When it comes to physical touch, start early, be frequent, and always be appropriate. The sooner you break the touch barrier, the more comfortable she'll become with your touch. However, remember that her primary concern is feeling safe. Touch her in places you would touch a young sister or a grandmother, safe zones like her hand, especially if she's wearing a ring, her arm, shoulder, or upper back. Avoid touching her face, neck, torso, lower back, and legs initially. These areas are considered more intimate and might make her feel uncomfortable if you're not well acquainted. There are also gray areas, such as her hair and the lower part of her back. Be cautious with these. If her hair is long and in a ponytail, for example, you might pull it playfully later on, but not right away. And definitely stay away from her face unless you're already past the initial stages of comfort. The key to successful flirting is following a sequence: tease, touch, build tension. This creates a delightful sexual tension that can make the interaction more exciting. And remember, unless you're in a very specific situation or have a very high level of attraction, save the more intense moves for later. Finally, there's one thing you should never say when flirting. But that's a secret for now. When it comes to attracting a woman you find appealing, it's essential to understand the role of sexual tension in the process. Many men hesitate to embrace this concept because it can feel uncomfortable, but it's important to realize that without any sexual tension, you risk being placed in the dreaded friend zone, which often leads to a lack of romantic interest. To create that spark, you can engage in playful teasing and light physical contact, but if you neglect to introduce some level of sexual tension, her interest may quickly fade. If the idea of flirting makes you anxious, don't worry, I have some helpful strategies for you. While sexual tension is crucial, it's equally important not to overdo it, as excessive tension can come across as creepy or overly aggressive. For instance, if you casually mention that you don't usually find blondes attractive, you're subtly indicating your interest in her, which adds a layer of sexual tension to the conversation. There are several effective techniques to build or enhance sexual tension. One method is to make your touch linger a bit longer than usual. For example, if you're holding her hand, you might gently pull her hand closer to you and comment on something she's wearing, like her ring. This gives you an opportunity to ask her questions or even playfully suggest reading her palm. You could also place your hand on her shoulder, ensuring that your touch lasts just a moment longer than what feels entirely comfortable. Depending on her response, you might explore more intimate areas like her lower back or even tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear, but only after establishing a level of comfort with your initial touches. Another way to create sexual tension is by maintaining eye contact for a bit longer than usual, especially if you can add a playful glint to your gaze. If the conversation is flowing well, a wink can also be a charming gesture, whether it's in reference to a shared joke or simply a lighthearted moment. Lastly, using sexual innuendos can be an effective way to introduce tension, but it's crucial to read her reactions carefully. If she seems receptive, you can continue, but if she pulls back, it's wise to ease off. Employing innuendos requires a good deal of confidence and a willingness to take risks, and it may take some practice to find the right balance. Expect to stumble along the way, as that's part of the learning process. The key is to gauge her responses to your more subtle comments before moving on to bolder ones. As you practice, focus on the process rather than the outcome. Shift your mindset from trying to impress her to simply honing your skills. Start with small, manageable steps and gradually build your confidence. Remember, research shows that you actually learn more effectively through hands-on experience, especially when you're slightly stressed. So while rehearsing in your mind can be somewhat helpful, it won't compare to the real-life practice of engaging with her. Taking the first step and actually going out there can often feel intimidating, especially if the thought of doing so causes significant anxiety or makes you hesitant to start at all. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed or anxious about initiating conversations or dating, don't worry, I'm here to support you. I have something special to share. As I promised, I'll reveal one crucial piece of advice, the absolute worst thing you can say to a girl when flirting, and honestly, probably at any time, is any form of self-deprecating humor that stems from genuine feelings of insecurity, shame, or self-doubt. For example, if you are currently unemployed and genuinely worried about finding another job, bringing that up in a flirtatious context is not a good idea. Similarly, if you've gained some weight and feel uncomfortable taking your shirt off in front of her under the lights, joking about your weight will likely backfire. When you express insecurities openly, it often signals to her that you are unsure of yourself, and women tend to mirror the confidence or lack thereof that you display. If you're insecure about something, it can come across as vulnerability. She will pick up on that and may perceive you as lacking confidence. Now, if you're struggling to build confidence, overcome self-doubt, or feel like you're not worthy of pursuing the women you genuinely desire, which is a common feeling, you might want to explore my Wake Up to Love program. This program is especially designed for men who have had difficulties with self-confidence or who previously made poor choices in dating, resulting in heartbreak or missed opportunities. My goal with this program is to help you develop a true sense of self-worth so you can confidently approach high-quality women, whether that's a girl you met casually at a coffee shop or someone you've admired from afar for a long time. It's important to note that this is not an easy fix. The program involves significant homework, both to do at home and in real-world situations, to help you grow. However, it provides a clear, step-by-step action plan broken into manageable parts so you don't feel overwhelmed. And I'll be there with you throughout the entire process, supporting you along the way. If you think this might be helpful for you, I invite you to click the link and learn more about the Wake Up to Love program. Remember, real change only happens when you take action. Nothing will change unless you decide to make it happen. Thanks for being here, and I wish you all the best on your journey to love and self-improvement.